Imagine the world 300 million years ago, Sarah. The Carboniferous Period. There are no humans. There are no monkeys. There are no dinosaurs yet. The world is a steamy, silent swamp, covered in giant ferns and moss. The only living things are massive dragonflies the size of hawks and amphibians crawling through the mud. It is a primitive, empty world.
I know this era. It's where our coal comes from. Dead plants, heat, pressure, and time. Millions of years of compression turning peat into rock. It's basic geology.
Exactly. It is a sealed vault. When a layer of coal is formed, it is locked tight by the earth. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. It is a time capsule that shouldn't be opened until the miner's pick strikes it. So, if that vault is secure, explain to me how a woman in Illinois cracked open a lump of coal in 1891 and found a 10-carat gold chain inside.
Okay, I've heard of this one. The Morrisonville Gold Chain. It's a classic OOPART, an out-of-place artifact. But let's be real, Vector. Coal bins are messy. Mines are messy. People lose jewelry. It's far more likely that a miner dropped his necklace, or the woman herself dropped it, and it just got mixed in with the coal dust.
That is the comfortable explanation, but it ignores the testimony. Welcome to Cryptic Vector. I am Vector.
And I'm Sarah. And today I'll be playing the role of the person who understands how gravity works, meaning things fall into coal chutes all the time.
Gravity doesn't explain this. Let's look at the morning of June 11th, 1891. Mrs. S.W. Culp is in her kitchen in Morrisonville, Illinois. She is doing a mundane chore, breaking apart lumps of coal to fit them into her scuttle for the stove. She picks up a large chunk. She hits it with a hammer. The coal fractures down the middle, and there, dangling from the broken halves, is a gold chain.
Dangling? See, that implies it was loose.
No, it was embedded. The report from the Morrisonville Times, which published the story immediately, is very specific. It says the chain was circular and appeared to be looped. But here is the smoking gun. The ends of the chain were firmly embedded in the two separate pieces of coal. When the coal broke, the chain held the two pieces together.
So it was like a handle?
Exactly. And when she finally pulled the pieces apart, the chain detached, but it left a perfect impression in the coal. The article states that the impression of the links was as distinct as if it had been made by a molder in wax.
Okay, that detail is problematic for the "it fell in" theory. If there was a physical impression in the rock, it means the rock formed around the chain, or the chain was pressed into it while the coal was still soft.
And when was the coal soft, Sarah?
In the Carboniferous Period, 300 million years ago.
Precisely. So we are left with two options. Option A, Mrs. Culp was a liar and a master forger who managed to carve a negative impression of a gold necklace into a lump of anthracite coal just to get her name in a local paper. Or option B, 300 million years ago, when the Earth was supposed to be ruled by bugs and slime, someone was walking around wearing sophisticated gold jewelry.
Or option C, it wasn't gold. We see this with ancient screws found in rock that turn out to be crinoid fossils, sea lilies that look like screws. Pyrite, fool's gold, can form in coal seams in weird wire-like shapes. If she saw a shiny metallic thread running through the coal, her brain might have screamed "gold chain" when it was just a natural mineral formation. Did anyone analyze the metal?
They did. Mrs. Culp took the chain to a jeweler. He analyzed it. It was 8-carat gold. It weighed 192 grains. It was described as antique and quaint workmanship. It wasn't a raw mineral wire. It was crafted. It had links. It was jewelry.
But where is it now? That's always the convenient part of these stories. We found proof of time travel, but we lost it in a drawer.
The chain itself disappeared after Mrs. Culp died in 1959, likely sold or melted down by relatives who didn't know what it was. But the story survived because it was documented at the time. And it's not an isolated incident. That's the thing, Sarah. If this was just one crazy lady in Illinois, I'd give you the hoax theory. But the coal mines are full of ghosts.
Ghosts? You mean more anomalies?
I mean, we have been digging up impossible objects for centuries, and usually they are thrown into the crusher because the miners don't want to lose their jobs or stop the operation. But sometimes they slip through. The Salzburg Cube, the Wallingford Bone, the Oklahoma Iron Cup, all found in deep, undisturbed geological strata.
Let's stick to the chain for a second. The implications you're suggesting are insane. If a gold chain existed 300 million years ago, who made it? Aliens? Time travelers? Or are you suggesting humanity is older?
Much older. Think about the standard timeline. We are told civilization is maybe 6,000 years old. We are told Homo sapiens are 300,000 years old. That is a blink of an eye in geological time. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Do you really think we are the first ones to figure out how to smelt gold?
We are the first ones to leave a trash layer. That's the argument against ancient advanced civilizations. If there was a global civilization 300 million years ago, where are their cities? Where are their plastics? Where is their radioactive waste? You can't just have a gold chain and nothing else.
Can't you? What happens to steel after 300 million years? It rusts to dust. What happens to concrete? It erodes to sand. What happens to plastic? It breaks down. But gold is immortal. Gold doesn't corrode. Gold doesn't rust. If you wanted to leave a message for the future, or if you just dropped something that would survive the crushing weight of a geological epoch, it would be gold.
So you're saying the chain is the only survivor?
I'm saying the coal seam itself is the graveyard. Coal is made of compressed forests, massive, ancient forests. If a civilization lived among those forests and a cataclysm happened, a flood, a mudslide, a sudden burial, everything they built would be crushed into the carbon layer. The only things that would come out recognizable are the things that don't decay, gems and gold.
That is a romantic notion, but it defies biology. We have a fossil record, Vector. We can see the evolution of life. We go from single cells to fish, to amphibians, to reptiles, to mammals. There is no gap in the record where you can fit a human empire in the Carboniferous era. We would find their bones. We would find their teeth. We find dinosaur teeth from later periods. Why no human teeth in the coal?
Maybe we do find them. And maybe we call them anomalies and put them in a drawer in the basement of the Smithsonian. Or maybe they weren't human.
Oh, here we go.
Who says the owner of the chain was human? The chain was described as delicate, but who made it? The coal mines have produced other things, Sarah. Things that suggest the chain wasn't just jewelry. It might have been technology.
Technology? It's a chain. It holds a pendant or a watch.
Unless it's a conductor. Gold is an excellent conductor of electricity. And some of the other things found in coal look a lot like components.
Okay, you are pivoting from Victorian lady finds a necklace to ancient circuit boards. But let's look at the geology again. The coal in Illinois is from the Pennsylvanian subperiod. It was a swamp. If you drop a chain in a swamp, it sinks into the muck. The muck gets covered by sediment. Pressure builds, heat builds. The muck turns to rock. The chain stays there.
Correct.
So, for the chain to be inside the coal, it had to be dropped into the swamp 300 million years ago. That is the only physical way for the coal to form around it.
Exactly. So we are back to the question. Who was walking in the swamp?
Time travelers.
Excuse me?
That's the only scientific theory, and I use the word scientific loosely, that allows for a gold chain in the Carboniferous. If we invent time travel in the future, and someone goes back to see the giant dragonflies, and they drop their pocket watch, boom, artifact in the coal. It solves the no human evolution problem.
That's the Star Trek solution. But it's too clean. It avoids the messier possibility. The possibility that history is cyclical, that we have risen and fallen hundreds of times, and that the coal we burn to power our lights is actually the crushed remains of the last time we tried to build a world.
That is grim. We are burning our ancestors to charge our iPhones?
In a way, but the Morrisonville chain isn't the only impossible metal object found in rock. Have you heard of the London hammer?
The hammer found in Texas? Encased in limestone?
Encased in Ordovician rock, 400 million years old. An iron hammer with a wooden handle, petrified inside the stone. The metal was analyzed. It was 96% iron, 2.6% chlorine, and 0.74% sulfur. No carbon.
No carbon? That means it's not modern steel.
It means it's a purity of iron that we cannot produce today without sophisticated chemistry. And yet, it was found in rock that predates the dinosaurs. Mrs. Culp's chain is just one piece of a massive puzzle. A puzzle that suggests the Earth is a junkyard of forgotten civilizations.
Or a junkyard of misidentified rocks and hoaxes. I still think the impression in the coal could have been carved. A hot chain, pressed into coal.
Try it. Try to press a gold chain into a lump of anthracite coal. It's hard as stone. You'd break the chain before you made a dent.
Okay, so the physical evidence is compelling, I'll grant you that. But the silence is deafening. If this chain was real, why didn't the scientific community descend on Morrisonville in 1891? Why was it just a blurb in a local paper?
Because science hates anomalies, Sarah. Anomalies don't get you tenure. Anomalies get you fired. If a geologist in 1891 admitted that a gold chain was found in 300-million-year-old rock, he would have to tear up every textbook he ever wrote. It's easier to say, Mrs. Culp is confused, than to say, history is wrong.
Denial is a powerful drug, but so is the desire to believe in magic.
It's not magic, it's just lost time. And we are going to dig deeper into that coal scuttle. If Mrs. Culp's gold chain was the only thing ever found in a lump of coal, I would let it go. I would agree with you. A fluke, a hoax, a mistake. But the coal mines of the world are like a lost and found department for a history that shouldn't exist. Let's move from Illinois to Oklahoma. 1912.
Okay, what happened in Oklahoma?
A man named Frank J. Kennard was working at the municipal electric plant in Thomas, Oklahoma. He was feeding the furnace. He picked up a massive chunk of coal, too big to fit in the door, and smashed it with a sledgehammer. And out of the center of that rock fell an iron pot.
An iron pot? Like a cooking pot?
A vessel. It had a spout, it had a handle, and just like the gold chain, it left a perfect impression in the coal. The coal had formed tightly around it. Kennard was so shaken by this that he didn't just tell his friends. He swore a legal affidavit. On February 27, 1948, he signed a sworn statement detailing exactly how he found it. He wrote, "I broke a coal chunk with a sledgehammer, and the pot fell out. I traced the source of the coal, and I found it came from the Wilburton mines."
And those mines are, let me guess, ancient.
The Wilburton coal beds are 312 million years old, older than the chain. So now we have gold jewelry in Illinois and iron cookware in Oklahoma, both from the Carboniferous Period.
Listen, Vector, I know about the iron pot, and I also know about geology. There is a natural phenomenon called iron concretions. Sometimes, mineral-rich water seeps into porous rock or coal. It collects around a nucleus, like a leaf or a shell, and hardens into ironstone. These concretions can look weird. They can look like bowls, or tubes, or spheres. If you smash a rock and see a round, rusty shape, your brain wants to call it a pot. It's pareidolia.
Concretions don't have handles, Sarah. Concretions don't have spouts. And concretions certainly don't have distinct manufacturing marks. But if you want to talk about manufacturing, let's talk about the bell.
The bell?
1944, West Virginia. A 10-year-old boy named Newton Anderson is tasked with keeping the coal furnace burning in his basement. He drops a heavy lump. It breaks, and inside, protruding from the black rock, is a brass bell with an iron clapper.
Okay, a 10-year-old boy. Not exactly the most reliable witness. Kids imagine things. Kids play pranks.
He kept it. He kept it for 60 years. And recently, that bell was subjected to nuclear activation analysis. They didn't just look at it, they analyzed the atomic structure of the metal.
And let me guess, it was made of unobtainium or alien space metal?
No, it was made of an unusual alloy: copper, zinc, tin, arsenic, iodine, and selenium. It was brass, but not modern brass. The mix of metals was strange. But the real kicker was the clapper, the little piece inside that rings the bell. It was made of iron. But the analysis showed it wasn't rusted. It had hardly corroded at all, despite being allegedly buried in a coal seam for 300 million years.
Or it hadn't corroded because it was a Victorian dinner bell that fell into a mine shaft in 1850, got covered in coal dust and water, and the sludge hardened around it. Miners call this breccia. It looks like solid rock, but it's actually just hardened mud and debris from a few decades ago. It cements things together. You break it open, you find a bell, you think it's ancient, but it's just trash and dried mud.
That is the favorite debunk. It's not coal, it's hardened sludge. But Newton Anderson, Mrs. Culp, Frank Kennard, they all described breaking large lumps of coal. Not loose dust, not surface sludge. They were breaking the fuel itself. Veins of coal don't just reform around a Victorian bell in 50 years. Coal takes millions of years of heat and pressure to stratify. You can't fake anthracite in a basement.
You can fake the story, though. Look, Vector, if these objects are real, let's play your game. If there was a civilization 300 million years ago making bells and pots, they must have had factories. They must have had mines of their own. They must have had a global supply chain. You don't make a brass bell with selenium in a cave. You need industrial chemistry.
Exactly.
So where is the rest of it? Why do we only find the small stuff? Where are the trucks? Where are the buildings? If the Carboniferous world was industrial, we shouldn't just be finding a bell. We should be finding layers of concrete. We should be finding radiation signatures. We should be finding the techno-signature of a lost empire.
Maybe we are looking at it. What do you think coal is, Sarah?
It's dead plants, peat moss, ferns.
That's the theory. But have you ever seen a forest turn into coal? No, because it requires a specific type of catastrophe. A sudden, massive burial. The entire biomass of a continent has to be swept together, buried under mud, and sealed instantly to prevent rot. That sounds like a global flood to me.
A flood? Or just changing sea levels over millions of years?
If a civilization was destroyed in that cataclysm, their cities would be pulverized. Their buildings would be ground to dust by the water and the mud. The only things that would survive intact are small, dense, hard objects. Jewelry, tools, things that can slip through the cracks of the destruction. The coal beds are the ruins, Sarah. We aren't finding artifacts in the coal. The coal is the debris field.
That is a terrifying perspective. You're saying we are mining the landfill of a previous world.
I'm saying that when you burn coal, you might be burning the furniture, the books, and the bodies of the people who lived here before us.
Okay, that is dark, even for you. But let's go back to the science. There is one other possibility we haven't touched: the miner's prank.
Go on.
Miners are bored. They work in the dark. It was a common joke in the 19th and early 20th centuries to mess with the new guy or the public. They would drill a hole in a lump of coal, shove a live toad inside, seal it up with coal dust and wax, and then let someone discover the live frog in the coal. It was a viral hoax before the internet. Maybe the gold chain, the pot, the bell. Maybe they were just bored miners messing with people?
A prank? Mrs. Culp was a housewife. Who was pranking her? The coal delivery man? Did he spend hours carving a negative impression of a gold chain into a rock just in the hopes that she, specifically she, would pick that specific lump and break it in just the right way? The odds are astronomical.
Improbable, but not impossible.
And the iron pot? Frank Kennard broke that coal in a furnace room, alone. Who set up that prank? And the Salzburg cube. Let's talk about the cube. 1885. Austria. A worker at an iron foundry breaks open a block of brown coal, lignite. Inside is a steel cube.
It wasn't a cube. It was more of a rounded shape, like a meteor.
It had a deep incision around the middle, a machined groove. It looked like a counterweight or a part of a machine. It was taken to the Linz Museum. They analyzed it. It was hard steel and nickel. But here is the strange part. It wasn't magnetic.
Non-magnetic steel? That implies a very specific alloy.
It implies high-tech metallurgy. Meteors are usually magnetic because of the iron content. This was artificial, and it was found in a tertiary coal deposit. That's 60 million years old. So now we have artifacts in the Carboniferous, 300 million, and the Tertiary, 60 million. It suggests that civilization isn't a straight line, Sarah. It's a loop. We rise, we build, we get crushed into coal. We rise again, we build, we get crushed again.
The Silurian hypothesis.
Exactly. The scientific paper that asks, if an industrial civilization existed on Earth millions of years ago, what traces would be left? And the answer isn't statues. The answer is anomalies in the sediment.
And you think the gold chain is that anomaly?
I think the gold chain is the smoking gun, because unlike the iron pot or the brass bell, gold is personal. Someone was wearing that.
Or something was wearing that.
What does that mean?
Well, if we are getting crazy, let's get crazy. Why do you assume the owner looked like us? 300 million years ago, the dominant life forms were amphibians and insects. Maybe your previous civilization wasn't human.
Now you are sounding like me.
I'm just looking at the timeline. If there were intelligent beings back then, they evolved from what was available.
Or they didn't evolve here at all. Maybe the coal beds are the result of a colonization attempt that failed. A colony that was wiped out and buried. And all that's left is a necklace dropped by a fleeing refugee.
Okay, we are officially in sci-fi territory, but I can't shake the image of the impression in the coal. The idea that rock remembers what it touched. If that impression was real, if Mrs. Culp didn't fake it, then geology has a massive hole in it.
Geology is full of holes. We just fill them with theories and pretend they are facts. But sometimes a gold chain falls out and proves we know nothing.
So what happened to the chain? You said it vanished?
That is the tragedy. It wasn't confiscated by the government. It wasn't stolen by men in black. It was just lost. Mrs. Culp died. Her family moved. The chain was likely thrown in a box or sold for scrap.
That's the most believable part of the story. Humans losing history because they don't realize what they are holding.
But the description remains. And the question remains, who lost it? There is a term for this, Sarah. It was coined by the researcher Michael Cremo. He calls it forbidden archaeology, or more specifically, the knowledge filter.
The knowledge filter? Sounds like a conspiracy theory buzzword.
It's a psychological mechanism. Mainstream science operates on a consensus reality. The consensus says, humans evolved recently. So, when a piece of evidence comes along that fits that box, like a Neanderthal skull, it passes through the filter. It gets published. It gets put in a museum. But when a piece of evidence hits the box and doesn't fit, like a gold chain in Carboniferous coal, the filter rejects it.
It rejects it because it's usually poor quality evidence. Like I said, lost items, hoaxes.
But not always. The filter rejects it because the alternative is too disruptive. If you admit the gold chain is real, you have to rewrite biology, geology, and history from scratch. No university wants to do that. So, the chain is labeled anomalous and ignored. It's not a conspiracy of men in dark rooms smoking cigars. It's a conspiracy of silence. It's academic cowardice.
I'd argue it's academic rigor. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. A sketch of a chain in a newspaper from 1891 isn't enough to overthrow Darwin.
But it's enough to make you wonder what else has been thrown away. How many miners found weird metal objects and just tossed them back into the crusher? How many artifacts are currently burning in power plants right now? We are literally burning the evidence of the past to power our toasters.
Okay, that is a haunting image. The idea that we are fueling our civilization with the remains of the previous one.
And that leads to the ultimate question. The question that should keep you awake tonight. If history is a cycle, and if civilizations rise and fall and get crushed into coal, where are we in that cycle?
We are at the peak, obviously. Look at us. Satellites, internet, medicine.
Are we? Or are we just the next layer of sediment? Imagine a catastrophe happens tomorrow. An asteroid, a nuclear war, a supervolcano. Humanity is wiped out. Our cities are buried under mud and ash. Millions of years pass. The mud turns to rock. The pressure builds. Our skyscrapers, our cars, our bodies, they all get crushed into a thin black layer of carbon.
A layer of coal.
Exactly. And then, 300 million years from now, a new species evolves. Maybe intelligent cockroaches, maybe lizard people, whatever. They start mining that black rock to burn it. And one day, a miner cracks open a lump of human-era coal. What does he find?
He finds plastic?
Plastic degrades, concrete crumbles, steel rusts, the iPhone in your pocket, the glass will shatter, the battery will rot, the silicon will degrade, but the gold,
My wedding ring?
your wedding ring, the gold filling in your tooth, the chain around your neck, that gold will still be shiny. It will be the only recognizable thing left of Sarah.
So Mrs. Culp's chain.
Mrs. Culp's chain was someone's wedding ring from the last turn of the wheel. Someone who thought their world was permanent. Someone who thought they were the pinnacle of evolution. And now, they are just a ghost in a furnace.
That makes me feel incredibly small and incredibly temporary.
It should. We are not the owners of this planet, Sarah. We are just the current tenants. And we are very bad at reading the eviction notices left by the previous residents.
So, is there any way to verify this, or are we just stuck with old newspaper clippings?
The evidence is still out there, in private collections, in dusty museum basements labeled miscellaneous. But the best place to look isn't in a museum. It's in your own backyard. Next time you see a piece of coal, don't just burn it, break it open.
I don't think I want to. I'm afraid of what I might find. If I find a microchip in a lump of coal, I'm quitting this podcast.
If you find a microchip, bring it to me. We'll put it on the air. And then we'll wait for the knowledge filter to try and shut us down.
Well, on that cheerful note, I'm going to go check my jewelry. Make sure it's secure. Just in case I need to leave a message for the lizard people of the year 300,000 AD.
Make sure it's 24 karat. Only the best for the future archaeologists.
This has been Cryptic Vector. I'm Sarah, and I'm suddenly very aware of the ground beneath my feet.
And I am Vector. Remember, the past isn't dead. It's just waiting to be dug up.
Goodbye.
End transmission.